All right, so this is effectively part 2 of our translation app project. And last time we got a chance to really dig into the creative process of sketching out our ideas and, thinking about them, thinking about edge cases, thinking about what the user's journey will be when using this app that we want to make. And so I think that the next logical step for us, now that we've sketched out and planned all of this, as you can see on the screen here, and these are super rough, terrible sketches, just as a review from last time. So the review is that our app has a few different screens that we've planned out, but the core experience that we're looking towards is a app that has a big button on it. When you tap that button, it means you're starting a conversation, and you start talking, you're doing your thing, and then maybe you tap it again and it stops and it transcribes what you actually had said. And the core piece of this is we give the user, as you can see on screen here, the ability to look at their previous conversations they've had and actually check out those conversations and look at these 2 bullet points we have here, which is being able to assess the common words and sentences that the user is saying. And so we took that a step further at the very bottom because we wanted to find out what the UI would look like, or what the experience would be like if you tapped on a conversation. And so you'd have 2 segmented buttons. One would be words, one would be sentences. You tap on one of those, that's going to dictate what list you're looking at, whether it's the list of words or the list of sentences that will show up. And these are just the common things that we pick out from transcription. There is another thing in here. We decided, yes, so there's going to be somewhat of a tab bar at the bottom. The tab bar at the bottom is going to show 2 different options. One of those options is actually going to be record, and the other one is actually going to be conversations. So tapping the record one will show you the record screen. Tapping on conversations will take us back over to our UI up here for conversations. There's 2 major factors involved when the assessment is happening. We want to be able to assess all of the conversations that the users had, or one individual conversation. And so we also came up with this UI, how the conversations view might look. These might be conversations here. And then there will always be a button at the very top, which is all conversations. And that all conversations button would then take us to a view just like what you would see when you tap on an individual conversation. But it would have the summary of all the most popular words and sentences that you say, and then giving them to you in English and Japanese so the user can actually practice. So that's what we came up with. And now the next logical step in this video is to obviously go to ChatGPT. We need to first create a prompt. This prompt has to get ChatGPT ready for developing a few key items we need to pass over to our AI tool to start coding our project. So even though we may be a little bit more involved than normal, we're still going to sit back and let AI do as much as it possibly can. And the more work you do up front, I found, the more powerful of a response you'll get So without further ado, we'll just get right into this. We're on a Mac, but whatever device you're on, if you're not following this by the T, we will actually, I'm gonna get rid of this. I would typically open up a text edit document. So what I did there was I hit Command space and I typed in text edit. Or if you're on your MacBook, you can pinch with 5 fingers to get all of the apps up and start typing in text. You'll get text edit. And then what we want to do is start crafting a prompt that you can use. So what do we want to do here? Okay, first off, we need to summarize what our application is. A good app idea out there for whoever's listening is maybe taking and transcribing what a person has said or what you've said and actually helping put that into a prompt for a new application. You're welcome for that idea. But we need to do this manually. The point of this is to show you the complete process anyway. So what is our app about? Let me see if I can. I don't know why we're not able to type here. Let's go new. There we go. This should work. Okay, so that was weird. So yeah, what we want to do is put our summary in. Let's do that. We'll do let's build and a translate. We keep calling this a translate app, but if we think about this is more of a language learning app rather than a translating app. So what I'm thinking is we're going to approach this from that angle. This is a language learning app. We are starting with Japanese. And what I'm going to do is say, let's build a language learning app. We're starting with Japanese. The MVP of this app, the minimum viable product of this app is tapping a record button and tapping a record button once, and the app, it doesn't have to be perfect, the app will listen and transcribe all that the device hears. When the user is done conversing and or we'll just keep it there. Once the user is done conversing and they tap the stop button, the app will add a conversation to the conversation list. Okay, so each conversation, as well as all conversations as a whole will get an assessment. I'm probably butchering that. Assessment that will show a list of popular words and sentences the user tends to use, along with their translations. Okay. Along with their translations. So yeah, this is great. Let's put a little like note here. As a bonus, it would be great to, and just notice these are things that I just like to do when I'm going through the process. Like what I'm trying to give you here, the value here is that like this is what goes through my mind when I'm actually putting a product together. This is what's happening. This is what I like tend to do. So you're like getting the raw, like, you know, this isn't scripted or anything like that. I know that like for some people that could be annoying, but I know there are some people out there that really want to just like peek inside of someone's brain as they're like putting together a professional product. So anyway, I'm making a little note down here. As a bonus, it would be great if we could it would be great if we could add text to speech for the translations. I really like that option, like text to speech, because let's say you've gone in, you've recorded a conversation, you go check out a conversation you've had, and then once you look at that conversation, you'll see the words and sentences tab. You'll tap on sentences, for example, and then you'll see the common sentences you tend to say, and it'll be nice to see the Japanese like either kanji or writing there, and then you can tap on that thing and then listen to what it sounds like so that you can practice saying it. I think that would be probably perfect. A nice bonus. So yeah, we'll keep that down there. I just didn't want to forget it. So we've told it about our Translate app. Like, let's give it some details. Okay. Here are some extra details. So what we want to tell, once again, like our goal here, let me actually even write out our goal here. So our goal is to let's say craft, and we're kind of like giving a command at the beginning of this. This is part of the prompt, you know, even though I'm explaining this to you. Craft a product requirement document. Craft a product requirement doc, PRD. We want a technical requirement doc. TRD. And then what we want are user stories. Super important. So it's really easy to check these user stories to find out how far we are in the process of getting the thing done. Is it ready for production, basically? So user stories, and then we want a progress.md file. I mean, we can say craft. MD stands for markdown. Craft markdown files. Craft the following markdown files. Okay. We want a progress MD. For tracking progress features, milestones, and tasks. Okay. This progress file is going to be really cool. If you haven't done something like it before, it's going to allow us to have AI check off certain things that it's doing or that it's already done, so that we can kind of like keep track, because there's just so much that happens. AI will build so much, and it would be great to like see how much progress we've made. So let's continue. So those are the main documents. Okay, now we also want these other documents called cursor rule documents. I forget what the format is on these. I think it's CMD. Let me open up another document that I have. Let me see. Are there any? Yeah, there's some in here. .mdc. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we also need you to craft if I can spell craft .mdc files to help make sure we follow patterns and guidelines that we specify in our technical requirements doc. Technical requirements doc. Let me cut this, Command X, and then I'll put this in parentheses, paste, boom. Okay, so we also need some cursor rules to help it follow guidelines. Guidelines are going to be like in a technical requirements doc. This is where we're going to say, you know, project folder hierarchy, if I can spell, project folder, a hierarchy, as well as we will have language, which is going to be Swift since we're building an iOS app. We are probably going to use, we might end up using DeepSeek just because it's cheaper. We could use ChatGPT's APIs. We'll deal with that as we get there. We'll just pretend that we're going to do ChatGPT. AI APIs. And I'm making a lot of assumptions here. Like, let's pause for a second. Making a lot of assumptions here that maybe you have some like a little bit of programming background, or like that you have a little bit of development background. I think this channel is focused on kind of taking any type of developer out there, like however little experience you have, and kind of like showing you ways to build your own apps and just become better and enhanced via the AI tools and whatnot. So, but you can still just try to follow along too, even if you don't have like engineering or development experience. All this stuff that we're doing, we haven't touched any code. We're just, being very specific about what we want to get the tools and the documents that we need in order to hand over to AI to give it as much as it needs. And then we can kind of like, help it, along the way and course correct certain things as it's actually building the product, which we're going to end up using Cursor for if you haven't already caught on to that. So, yes, so we're trying to make it craft these documents. We're having it craft a progress document. I'm going to attach an example. Let me just put an example of this is attached. Also, I don't know if there's any language APIs we need. Maybe. Or maybe we're just going to be using ChatGPT. Maybe it knows enough. I guess we'll end up finding out. Another thing would be like speech text to speech API. I'll put maybe here as well. Anything that I'm unsure about, I'll usually just put parentheses and like maybe, just so AI can fill in those gaps. So, all right, progress, example is attached. So I've got to make sure to attach an example. I have plenty of those in my files. Okay, so I explain what the app is. Let's just put app overview here. Okay, and then here's some extra details. Let's actually be specific about the UI here. Once again, the more work we do up front and the more specific we are up front about what we want to build and how we want it to be built, the less work we have to do later. Yeah. So let's see, what will we do? So UI, right. We have sort of a single, we don't have a single view application. We have a tab view app. And what I mean by tab view is just the simple fact that majority of the app is like centered on this right here. Just these two tabs like down here at the bottom. The fact that like we have it being a 2-tab application keeps things just really simple. And so let's keep it with that. And we'll actually even say the app is a 2-tab app. Let's almost like make this sort of a list here. It's a 2-tab app. One tab is one tab, let's say, aka the default tab. This tab is actually going to be record, which I'll put it in quotes here, which is the screen that the user will start recording conversations from. Okay. And okay, so next we have what have we got? Right, so the other tab is a conversation history tab. I almost don't want to call it a history tab because it's such a main feature of the app. Kind of just want to call it a conversation tab. Conversations tab, which will show a list of all the conversations the user has recorded so far. Let's give it a small note at the end of this. Note, the app should not save conversations after it has been fully transcribed. It should not save recordings of conversations after they have been fully transcribed. This way we don't have to worry about like we don't have to worry about following too many rules or breaking too many rules or anything like that on privacy. Like, yes, we're going to have to prompt the user. That's another thing I like about the Apple platform is it kind of like forces you into like making sure that you hit on all of these different permissions. So the user will get prompted as soon as the app opens up. And we'll have a custom message there saying, hey, in order to make this app work properly, we need permission to use your microphone when you hit the record button. So, but the cool part is we don't need to save those conversations. Just from experience, I don't think we need to save conversations. We just transcribe and throw away the recording if we have to hold the recording for any amount of time. So yeah. Now let's continue on. So we've got a lot of the UI already taken care of here. The last part of the UI that we want to outline is that when selecting, so we have this up here, when selecting a conversation in the conversations list, we will push the user, we'll push a detail. Actually, we will pop a detail screen over the current screen and show we'll pop a detail screen over the current screen that shows a navigation bar at the top and a segmented control. So we have our UI here. Yeah. This is going to be our segmented control here. Segmented control with two options. One is common words, and then two is common sentences. Cool. One more thing we're missing out of here. So we are missing this very important piece here that I want to make sure that when we're looking at the conversations view, we have a button at the very top, and this button is going to allow us to select a detailed view of all the conversations, an assessment of all the conversations. So let's make sure at the end of this part in the tab, when we're describing the conversations tab, at the top above the conversations scrollable list, we want to have a button called, I don't have to say called, I want to have a button, all conversations. Okay. By the way, make sure that you're saving this. I'm going to do Command S. You want to save this like language learning prompt. Cool. Just always want to save it just in case. Imagine like everything goes blank and like we lose all that stuff. It's gone. It's gone. So yeah, let's, AI is smart enough to pick up on these things, so I don't really have to have corrections in here. But when you're thinking about, like, you're thinking about this really seriously. So if you're watching this, you're still watching this, it's because the other videos out there are highly scripted and have this like very specific use case that is a little bit hard to learn from unless you're like actually like going through the process, which I encourage you to go through this process on your own. Like take the cliff notes of like what I'm doing here and like make it your own. Like that's the best way to deal with this. Like, you know, you can take this overall flow, switch around the order to whatever way you want. But like that's the flaw in some of the videos out there, is that they just kind of give you like this like really quick, like here's a prompt on how to do blah. But like if you really want to make a profitable business, not everyone is going to get so lucky with just like build this app and it just builds it. And you know, what about payments? What about like, you know, are you able to go in and ask AI to specifically fix a bug with your product? Or will you have to go and eventually hire someone anyway? Like maybe even with all this, you still have to go and hire someone later. But at least the conversation to try to resolve this is a lot easier when going through this entire process. But anyway, I digress. Like we'll get there. So, you know, when you're trying to create a product that is supposed to be valuable and a real business, I would think that you would want to put as much real energy into and research into your product to get something really quality done and like package it out there. Doesn't mean it needs to take you forever to do it. Like we're already, I don't know, 35% of the way through like building this application, technically, you know, and I think we've only spent, you know, if you count the first part, which was like around 35 minutes, you know, we're already like an hour and a half maybe or something like that, or maybe an hour. So yeah, like it's it takes energy to do these things. I digress. Let's continue. I'm sure you're anxious to get to the other part. You can always just skip too. If you're like, okay, I get it. You know, feel free to like skip ahead. Okay, so when selecting conversation in the conversations list, we will pop a detail screen over the current screen that shows a navigation bar. Yes. Okay, segment to control. Cool. For the list of words, we never really, you know, talk too much about the details here. Yes. Get my handy Apple Pencil here. Okay, so what we need to do is kind of solidify what's going to happen on this screen. Basically, so we have our nav bar up here, which is like, who knows, it could be all conversations or it could be like a specific conversation. But what we want to look at specifically, we got our segment here. It's going to be words and conversations. Okay, now let's say we have conversations selected. Okay, conversations is selected. We're going to see conversations down here. And let's make sure we understand what that means for us. Like, what's our vision on that? So a lot of times with lists, you know, you have, or collections, you have these like cells. So I'm thinking that we're gonna have kind of these like card cells. And these card cells can have the sentence, and then and this will be in English, and then the sentence in Japanese here. And then that's how this list, this scrollable list here will operate. We'll have like these individual cards, and there will be English and Japanese. And the Japanese one will have, a little speaker button that you can tap on. Now, another trick that I haven't actually tried is we could probably hand this image over to AI. Let's make sure to do that too. Let me just make sure all conversations or convo 1, 2, 3. Cool. We have a speech button here. Very cool. So this is looking pretty good. Now, what do we have here? So details. Oh, for a list of words and sentences. These lists will have a card for each item that displays the English item and the Japanese translation. Furthermore, the Japanese translation will have a speaker icon, speaker or volume button icon next to it to that the user can tap to listen to the Japanese translation. Taking text to speech. Cool. Yeah, autocorrection is really carrying me today. Okay, so, and you know what, our note here will go perfectly right underneath this. Note, a bonus. Okay, so here are some extra details. I think this is kind of good. I think we are doing okay. Yeah. What I'm going to do, oh, looks like I need to, Wow, really doesn't want to give me the ability to share this, but I'm going to cheat. I'm going to take a screenshot and I'm going to share that. Cool. Very cool. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Now we can basically, there's one more thing. There's one more thing. So this is a lot these are a lot of tasks for ChatGPT to accomplish all at once. So what I like to do is tell it, kind of give it a prompt back, like, okay, give me the next thing, give me the next thing. So I would say craft the following files after you review all of the details below. Also, only craft one item at a time. Only craft one item at a time. And let's make sure after each document, let me reply next. And then you can create the next document until all documents are created. Okay, in this technical Docker project hierarchy, I'm just going to say MVC, MVVM. So MVVM is, we used to call it design pattern back in the day. It is more commonly known as like an architectural pattern, but MVVM stands for model view model. And it's just a popular one. It's not the one that I particularly always recommend. But, you know, I guess depending on if you're a beginner or not, like if you're sort of on the beginner side, I would leave this just MVVM. But I'm going to say, I'm actually going to make this MVVM plus domain because I like to use sort of a domain driven architecture. Which that reminds me, I need a document for this. And I'm going to provide an example doc attached. Okay. okay. I'm also going to say we'll say that sketches are attached. Visual sketches are attached. Cool. Awesome. So now let's go ahead and open up ChatGPT. Let's go Safari. Okay, we're gonna paste our prompt in here. Oh, there's a lot of space in here. Let's get rid of that. Not like it matters. Just a preference. I'm gonna add some files here. So what I'll try to do, like if there's enough enough people viewing this, just comment down below and I'll go ahead and create some like a Dropbox link or something like that, or a Google Drive doc that has these examples I'm providing for it. So like one is the progress.md, search the entire Mac. Oh, this is product. Okay, so that's a product requirement doc. Okay, yeah, here's a good example of a progress.md. Oh, we missed a pretty important detail. Okay, luckily here I've got a technical document here as well. I'm going to include domain. What we definitely missed was our probably the most important thing for this, right? If this is a real product, we definitely need to have our payment system figured out as well. Like not figured out, but we need some details on that. Domain. Let's see what we got. Probably domain driven. Yeah, there we go. Domain driven architecture. Yeah, so basically I had created a doc that goes over sort of like how I like to organize code and like how I like to do sort of this domain driven architecture. So I'm going to include one of these in here. Cool. That's going to be in there. And then we also have a image of our sketches. We should include that. There it is. Okay, what else did we say we were going to include in here? Did we say anything else? I think that was it. But we need to get our payment situation figured out. So we at least need to just say in here that like we can do research as we go along on this. And this is going to be like subscription / monetization. So our subscription monetization strategy, and we'll just give it just a couple of basic things. We can do deep research on what we want to do is deep research on the cost of ChatGPT API calls and potentially translating, as well as, what else do we need? We need the cost of, we don't know if it costs for speech, potential cost of speech to, text to speech API. Okay, and since there's actual research that needs to be done, which we can have ChatGPT do, we will have that in a document as well. So let's put subscription monetization strategy. Let's make a document on that. So subscription and monetization strategy. Okay. Document. Also under the technical details, since I almost forgot about that. So for iOS, so for other things out there, you would typically use payment structures like Stripe. That's a good payment system. I can't think of any others off the top of my head. But for iOS, we're actually going to be using RevenueCat. RevenueCat, this isn't a sponsor or anything. RevenueCat is really cool because it allows me to like make widgets on my phone, and I can keep tabs on my MRR, monthly recurring revenue. But most importantly, it is a lot easier than doing it on your own or using something else to integrate payment systems and structures, as well as keep tabs on your customers. You can like see what customers subscribe when, and you get a nice, pretty dashboard. We'll end up going over that. But yeah, so we are going to be using RevenueCat. APIs for payments. Now, what's cool is I've already created an app that uses RevenueCat. So I think I'm also going to provide example /info doc attached. So I think I'm also going to provide an information document on that. How am I going to get that info doc? I'm glad you asked. So I'm going to open up Cursor. I'm going to open up a project that I created previously that uses RevenueCat, that I have subscribed users today. And that would be something that's not there. Let's see, I wonder if Vault Hub is in here. You know what? This app is using it. Yeah. Why not? We're using it here. Let me, this probably wasn't the best folder to open up. Let's go open folder. Let's go to dev. I was going to use my my other app, but this one works just as good. Okay, so this is how powerful Cursor is. This is an older app that I made with a friend of mine. He's actually done more on this project than I have. But what I want, the details I want to get out of here, I did the payment system for this. Give me a breakdown analysis with examples in a markdown file for how we use revenue cat, aka promise kit APIs and implementation in this project. Oh my god, I butchered that so bad. But whatever, it knows. So we need it quick. Need that info. So cool. So Cursor is analyzing the project in order to get this information. Let's have a generic page open here while this is going. And this is just like, you know, at this moment in time, Cursor is so good that it is literally crafting an amazingly detailed document on how we're using it in the app and just in general, like how to use it, as well as sort of an analysis, which is so crazy. So, you know, while we're doing this, one might ask, like, why not just use Cursor for everything? And you know what? That is very much possible. The only thing is I like to use ChatGPT for deep research purposes. So if I need ChatGPT to go off and like find out some information right now about something, for example, names, I need its help to like scour the internet, check on names. That's one good use case. Research on costs. So going out there and finding out information on, you know, expenses, things like that. ChatGPT, I've just found, is just like a bit more superior. When it comes to sciences, maths, and stuff like that, that's where your Claude code is going to come in. We're using Claude Sonnet down here in conjunction with Cursor. But yeah, no, this is cool. So let me grab this, find out where this is at. Reveal in Finder. Okay, what's the name of the doc? It's called Revenue Cat. There it is. And I'm just gonna drag this over to something like my downloads. Cool. Doesn't need to be here. So, yep, we'll close this up. And now we have our example. I'm gonna select all of this. Command A to select all that in there. Delete. Command V to paste. And let's add our revenue cat example document. Keep in mind, I do have the pro version of ChatGPT. I think it's like maybe $50 a month. It's up to you. Like a lot of this stuff you can do without it. I'm going to go ahead and start it. But, you know, it's just worth it. If you're able to do it, just do it. Get the pro version of ChatGPT because it just like, it has extra features in it that I don't even pay attention anymore. There are people that are like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could create thumbnails for your YouTube channel or something. Like, I don't know. Like, I just pay for the pro version and it gives me the ability to do it. So, all right. Look at that. Already just that quick. Let's open this up a bit more. This is looking pretty good. Now, the more serious you are about your business, like you come through all this stuff, like, you know, come through as much as you can. And, you know, a lot of things in here is probably absolutely correct. One of the things I like to do, and I'm probably going to do it as soon as like, I get off of this, this episode of this series or whatever, I'll just listen to it. I'll highlight the whole thing, and on my Mac, I'll just like do the 2-finger click or right click speech, start speaking, and literally just like listen to the whole thing. That's one of the easiest ways to do it. You can go off and do something else, you know, and that way you don't have to comb through all of this stuff like with your eyes if you don't want to. Or maybe you just read super fast like my wife and just be through with it. So this is great. This first file, product requirements doc. I'm downloading that. Downloading it as a markdown file. The markdown file, this is just my opinion so far. I haven't like proven it, but it seems to be more readable by Cursor and other AI tools. So I always save everything in a markdown file if I'm planning to feed it over to an AI. So that's just me. Okay, so I gave it instructions to, this is why I like to do this. Instead of getting like a whole bunch of things back from ChatGPT at once, I like to get things one at a time. So I'm able to just hit next and get the next thing. So next. And now it's giving me my technical requirements doc based on the things I gave it. And this is beautiful, you know. It's planning to do iOS. I may correct it and, you know, make sure that we're just strictly worried about iOS. But also, why not? I mean, AI is doing most of the heavy lifting. I'm not coding everything from scratch myself. So, you know, why not do a cross-platform app for iPad and Mac OS. Platform stack. Let's see. What other things we got here? Oh, it's still generating. I see. When that stop button is still down there, it's still generating. So that's why I was a little jerky. Architectural principles here. Awesome. UI never owns business logic. This is just for me and all of my like devs out there. Basically, I don't like to mix my UI code with my business logic code. And what I mean by business logic code is like all the stuff under the hood that happens after you've tapped a button, for example. I don't like that code living inside of a file where all of my UI code is, like where there's code for buttons and stuff like that. So that's why I've stuck to the domain-driven sort of architecture where, you know, if we look at this little like drawing it did here. Yeah, the view, you have a view model that like does these calls, but the calls of like doing stuff is going into the domain, and the domain is like going to handle all the business logic by tapping into services and whatnot. It just keeps things really, really neat. And so what you've got here, the result of that is we have sort of an app class that's called the domain, and you'll have these methods that are very closely tied to what the user is doing. Start recording, stop recording. If this was a project that I was writing myself, I would almost go so far as to say it would be user tapped button, and then there would be a method inside of there called like stop recording. But I digress. Building the product, so external integrations, ChatGPT API, yeah. Use cases, sentence normalization, context-aware translation. This sounds great. Revenue cat. And I love this. Like, I don't have to understand everything, right? Like, I'm getting the basics, and I'm just paying attention to these things and like using what intelligence I have to try to kind of affirm. This is like a dance back and forth between AI at this point. Like we're getting to that. Persistent strategy. We're just going to save locally right now. Looks like we're going to use Swift data. Yeah, we'll just use Swift data. Project folder hierarchy. This is what I was talking about. When you want to be able to find certain things, you want it to be real easy. Even if you're going to end up hiring another developer to like work on this product for you, or if you're the developer that's going to be, working on the project. If a customer finds a bug or there's some kind of bug that's affecting your customers, you want to be able to go in and not necessarily have to look at all of the code, but you want to be able to say, oh, the customer is having an issue here. I wonder if it has to do with code in the recording view, because I know that's where like the recording stuff is, or anything like that. So like just being able to ask clear questions to Cursor to get to a bug fix is important. So yeah, I'm going to download that. Download the markdown file. And then next. And so I think after we're going to get pretty far here. Yeah, we're going to get pretty far here. It's still doing its thing. We will probably be able to at least... I kind of want to save that for the next video. I've been taking breaks in between these videos. So I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and post that first one and this video at the same time. So you have a lot to go by. And because these videos are long enough on their own, to be honest. Okay, pay subscription tiers. I love this breakdown. It's like got such a great breakdown. Trials and promotions. Yeah, potentially a trial period. May or may not do this depending on how expensive it is. Okay, and then next. Yeah, so this is the domain-driven architecture. Okay. It's still building it. Yeah, so I think this may be, first of all, I'm hoping that this is helpful, the way that we're kind of going about this, you know, just kind of doing everything live. Like, I know without a script it is kind of tough, like, because sometimes if you don't have like the attention span to like hold on to these things, it can be a little rough, but hopefully also it's just super helpful to be able to dive in deep into this process of creating a professional product. Okay, cool. Isn't it amazing how all these things get broken down? Yes, like there was still like a lot of like work up front that we had to go through, but it's definitely worth it to polish and hone in on your idea. And if I were you, I would even take it a step further. Like, sometimes I'll have conversations, and that's not to say that we may not have any more conversations, but like sometimes I'll have conversations well before I even get to the sketching process, just to kind of like really flesh out the idea that I have. And once again, like, ChatGPT is great for research as well. So, ooh, progress. Okay. Okay, so here I have feedback for this, for the user story stock. I would say let's add more details, 2-point sized tickets. And we can say four or more tickets per what? Per story. Let's add more details to more details. Bullet points. Tickets. Yeah. All right, let's see what it does with that. Okay, I'm not seeing that extra stuff, but I'm gonna download this and see if we end up seeing it anyway. It's fine, I can always have cursor expand on those things. I was basically trying to have ChatGPT expand on the user stories to almost create them as like, oh. Oh, it is doing it. Oh, okay. Got it. The user stories are represented as epics. I got it. Okay, and the details, okay. Got it. Let's see what this is actually looking like. Okay, so I downloaded it and this is what it's actually starting to look like. I have this app called One Markdown on Mac. Allows me to look at Markdown documents as, you know, as they're kind of intended to be looked at. It's kind of cool. Yeah, so I'm seeing all the details. Yeah, this is beautiful. And let's also grab the progress polish here. And we'll do next. And let's see, track where we're at. So it gave us a product requirements doc, a technical requirements doc, subscription and monetization strategy document, domain-driven architecture document, user stories, progress. We're pretty much almost done. Now it's just giving us the cursor rules, which allows us to, basically cursor will filter through these rules whenever you're giving it commands, and it will always make sure to follow those rules going forward. And we're seeing some of them right here. It's not done generating this yet, so we can only see the stop part, but so one of the rules is architecture, and it's like the views are dumb. Basically, we don't want any business logic computation code inside of the view code where the buttons are and stuff. So we're keeping that completely separate. Cool. Yeah, it's even talking about the hierarchy and everything like that. Fantastic. Fantastic. Cursor rules.md. Awesome. Includes 10 separate markdown files. Okay. Let me double check on that. Okay, so all of the markdown files are in here. All the cursor rules are in here. Okay. All right, so what I want to do to end this at a good spot, like an actionable spot for you, is let me see what it's asking. Builder spec. Split into generate a builder spec, exact prompts, plus JSON track for ChatGPT. We will be using this for cursor to start building. Can give me a prompt to get started with those files. I will be creating the Xcode project and dragging these files in, and I want cursor to organize our files and start getting acquainted with our project. So I'm effectively asking ChatGPT for a prompt. I don't typically do this, but I just thought this time I was like, yeah, you know what? Like, why not? It's done all this work so far. Like, why not, tell it to generate a prompt for me to give to Cursor? I love this. Acting as a staff level iOS architect. We are starting a brand new SwiftUI project. Context file already in the repo. Yes. Your job is, and this step is only to set up the project. Sweet. Create minimal scaffolding. I've never really had to do this before. Where's the rules? Do not implement real audio capture or speech yet. Yeah, I'll give this a shot. Why not? It's interesting that it's thinking that we should tell Cursor to build the scaffolding. So I'm gonna make sure to mark this in the video because this is like at the very end. What we're gonna do, I wanna leave you on a very good spot by opening up Xcode. So even though we're gonna use Cursor, when you're building an iOS app, you still need to use Xcode to create the project and also run the app anytime you need to. So I'm gonna go iOS. I mean, I could just go cross-platform, it's fine. Cool. We are going to, you can always go back and name an app later. So for right now, I'm just going to call this one let's see. In Japanese, what is the name of a practice buddy? I don't know if this is a thing. Let's find out. Partner. Okay. So we're going to call this Convo Convo iBoo. Yeah, let's see how that goes. Why not? We have a dev folder. We'll talk about like folder location soon, but like if you can just put it in documents, that would be great. And okay. That's fine. So we have our Xcode project. Now we're going to go over to cursor and we're going to open up that same folder. So file, open folder. We're going to go to dev because that's where it's at for me. Convo, open. And here we go. Yes, and we can tell that we're in the project because we see some of the project files already. Tell .swift and all that. Cool. So let's put the prompt that we got from ChatGPT. And why not? Let's see how it goes. Oh, we can't do this yet. We shouldn't do it yet because we haven't actually dragged over our files yet. Let's go to downloads. And I was downloading them at the same time. PRD, cursor rules, got it. Also make sure our cursor rules are split into MDC files and properly configured for cursor. Boom. And we're off to the races. And so we basically let it's, you can see it was reading and stuff like that, getting all of that done. I love how it's got its little check marks there. Confirm, edit, yeah. It wants to do some editing. That's fine. Accept. Oh, this is gonna get old really fast, so I'm gonna eventually give it permission to just do everything. But yeah, no. So, on the next video, I'll pick up where we left off, where it actually starts, working on the project. Right now, this is just like a bunch of setup here. We're just like setting up our individual cursor rules documents for how cursor needs to handle everything, how it needs to handle the code, how it needs to approach the milestones and marking progress and stuff like that. It looks like we kind of have things set up to where pretty much with the progress file that I had it made over here, had it make. This allows you to say, go on to the next thing, go on to the next thing. And you can effectively act as more of a product manager or a manager as it's going through and finishing these things and checking them off. And you can continue to go over to Xcode and start, running the app and how's it looking? Is it looking good? Like, you know, what do we need to change here? And that's just going to be the process, is like back and forth, and you know, constantly checking to see that your user stories are being hit on as well. See, like in here, it has like, as a user, I want to see a recording screen by default, so I can start quickly. And it even gives you like steps. Like, this is awesome. These are the things I can follow, and if they succeed, then I know that my app is ready to launch, and that it's, you know, been professionally prepped to be a product out there in the world that, you know, doesn't have a bunch of angry customers or anything like that. Because no matter how good of a product idea you have and you've built with AI, the quality can suffer. If the quality suffers and such that your product is unusable, then I think that there's like a pretty bad trade-off there. And so that's why, instead of doing a scripted video and like just kind of doing what everybody else is doing and just like giving you like a you know, a quick, here's how you do a prompt, you can still go to those videos and find those videos on making an app in 5 minutes or something. But this is just from my perspective, how you create a good quality app that is prepared to receive like high amounts of revenue. So anyway, it's going to do its thing. I'm going to let it continue to craft and configure the project, get it set up so that we can get this thing on autopilot and start having AI continue to do it. And we can just act as the manager and sort of the tester to like make sure that things are coming out the way we expect. And yeah, I hope that this was great for you. And we'll next video we'll kick off like, you know, actually continuing to build the app. So anyway, take care.